I just have to tell you, I have to share this with you. I've just finished the 2,600 pages of the 3 volumes of Prokofiev's diaries. I've been working on it for 9 months and I've just finished. And now the voice of Prokofiev is silent, and the voice of Anthony Phillips, the translator and prodigious footnote maker, is also silent. And I'm a little bit sad. But I want to share with you this most amazing book. I think my feelings for the book can be summed up pretty well in a blurb on the back of the 3rd volume by Alexander Waugh, the grandson of Evelyn Waugh. He said, and I quote, "I have not felt as passionately engaged with a book as I have with this one for as long as I can remember. You do not have to be musical to enjoy these diaries. I am sure that in time they will come to be ranked among the great classic diaries of European literature." That's quite a mouthful. Well, I would even go further to say you don't have to even like Prokofiev's music to enjoy his diaries. When I came across the book by pure chance in a hopelessly cluttered second-hand bookshop in southern England last year, I saw the 1st volume lying there on a stack of thousands of books. And the thing that attracted me was not so much the name Prokofiev as the word diaries. I'm fascinated by diaries and letters and autobiographies. But Prokofiev, I thought that could be interesting. Prokofiev, I didn't really, to be honest, know too much about Prokofiev. I liked his Romeo and Juliet. But beyond that, I really would be hard put to name even another piece of Prokofiev's music. But I thought, why not? It could be interesting. It was 1907 to 1914, which is an interesting sort of time period. And after a little bit of difficulty getting into it, the first few pages are always a bit difficult. You're getting to understand what's going on. I realized that Prokofiev started writing these diaries when he was 16 years old in the Russia under the Tsars and in St. Petersburg. And he was going to the St. Petersburg Conservatory. He was a prodigious student. The first volume was called Prodigious Youth. He was a remarkable pianist. He was studying piano, composition, and conducting. And he's a typical teenager, really, in a way. He basically is living alone with his mother. His father dies early, and he is a spoiled wonder child, Wunderkind. He is a bit arrogant. He is insecure. He flirts with everything that has a skirt. And he is hypercritical of his teachers, who are famous names in Russian music. He looks upon Rachmaninoff, Rimsky-Korsakov as the old generation, and he already has started to compose pieces of music. Even while at school, he composed first piano concerto and many piano pieces that people looked upon with great technical wonder. But I'm jumping ahead of myself. I want to say these 3 volumes, there's something fascinating in each volume. In the first volume, it is the build-up to his graduation and the competition for the grand piano among the final students of piano. He writes in a very engaging way, as Alexander Waugh says. The story of this competition, he weaves it into the story of the first international chess championship in St. Petersburg, which is going on at the same time. Prokofiev had become a fanatical chess player, and he was overjoyed that the top chess masters were coming to play in St. Petersburg, but they were coming exactly at the same time as his competition. And so he's spending his time at the conservatory and studying and going to the chess club, where there are famous people like Capablanca, who becomes later his friend, are having this amazing series of matches, and he's watching in awe at how they're playing, and at the same time he has to study and do his perform in this competition. There's also the background that he wanted to play his first piano concerto as his competition piece, and in the end the conservative staff of the conservatory say, no, you have to play a set piece like everybody else. And so he plays the Liszt's transcription of the overture to Tannhäuser, an amazing piece of music. And he wows everybody with that. But they let him afterwards to play, outside of the competition, his first piano concerto. And when he graduates, I'm not telling you who wins. When he graduates, the world is all before him. He's a remarkable student. He gets to go to Paris. He meets Diaghilev of Les Ballets Russes, and Diaghilev commissions a ballet from him. So everything is going great. This is 1914 though. And we know something that he doesn't, that along comes the First World War. And suddenly all his plans are thrown out of the window. And that brings us to the second volume, which is from 1915 to 1923. The second volume, of course, deals with the war years, and he is able to avoid the draft because he is the only son of a widow, and also because he re-enrolls in the conservatory organ music. And then comes along, obviously, the exciting moment, exciting from our point of view, but not from his, of the famous Russian Revolution, 1917 and 1918. And he realizes at one point that with the proletariat taking control and looking upon the bourgeois intelligentsia as the enemy of the people almost, he decides he has to escape from Russia, that there's nothing for him right now in Russia. And so he is able to actually get a permission to leave Russia through a friendly official, and he escapes to America via the Trans-Siberian Express. He takes the last train, actually, that went on the Trans-Siberian Express line in that year, and he goes first of all to Japan, where he has to spend a month, and then he goes to Hawaii, and then to America. And that story is fascinating. And of course, he hits New York City just at the same time as the Spanish flu, which we all know something about today. And he is a penniless, though not unknown, composer. and he gets to play in some concerts, but he doesn't have enough money. And everybody thinks, ah, yes, you're a very famous Russian composer, but that doesn't give him any money. And some friends, some benefactors give him money. He gets a commission from the Chicago Opera to write an opera, and he writes The Love of Three Oranges. But it doesn't get performed. He still doesn't have get the money. And he talks about one point of having $1 in his pocket, and he has a coffee for lunch, but is too proud to tell people that he really has problems. But he is at the same time socializing in the jet set, meeting famous people, people that were famous then or will become famous, are known to us certainly, and that's all fascinating. And then he leaves America because he's not really having a success of it, and he goes to Paris, back to Paris, and he goes to Germany, and he goes to England, and that takes us to the third volume. And the third volume starts off, I think almost the first word of the third volume is Petashka. And Petashka is the name he gives to the woman who becomes his wife. Petashka, in fact, yes, is the first word of the third volume, and it means little bird, and is the name he gives to his wife Lena. So he settles down with Lena, eventually marrying her after she becomes pregnant with their first son. But the key, one of the climaxes of the third volume is his return to the Soviet Union in 1927. And the success he isn't quite getting in Europe, he gets in the Soviet Union. Everywhere he goes, he is followed by people. He has standing room only concerts. He gets standing ovations. He gets taken out brought out onto the stage 12 times to take bows. They're asked for encores after encores. It's in the Soviet Union of 1927. It's a very fascinating story and takes up quite a section of the third volume. And so, well, he wrote these books from the age of 16 until the age of 42, these diaries. And then by the age of 42, he is a recognized leading composer with 2 sons, and he leaves off writing these diaries. So I can highly recommend these books. They are exciting, fascinating, a window into a world of stars and personalities that either were famous at the time or became famous afterwards. He rubs elbows with Picasso, with Ravel, with Poulenc, with Stokowski, with Toscanini, with basically everybody. And it's one of the amazing things in the book is Anthony Phillips' footnotes, which are amazing. They're always in. But the amount of unknown composers, there's perhaps a composer every 5th footnote. A composer who composed quintets and piano pieces and violin pieces, and all these unknown composers. And whoever knew there were so many apparently unknown composers. A couple of the composers I've actually looked up and found out that their music is quite respectable. But as an unknown composer myself, I found it a little bit disheartening, to tell the truth, that there were just so many of us. But anyway, so you have to read it. It's a book to go through slowly and savor. And I'm sad it's over. So give it a read.